Hello all, this is Dattatri. I'm part of the solution architecture team of data and analytics at Edward Jones. We'll be talking about the Unity Catalog implementation and its evolution at Edward Jones. I want to start with this quote. Somebody stole this quote this in the morning, but anyway. So the great growling engine of change is technology. This is from Alvin Toffler. So he's a futurist writer and the businessman. So this phrase captures the powerful, sometimes the disruptive, but ultimately the transformative role of technology plays in the shaping of the modern world and the corporate. So being Edward Jones, it's 100-plus-year-old, the Fortune 500 company. We do have around like 20,000 plus financial advisors, and they own branches with 2.5 trillion assets under care in North America, both in, I would say, like in every county of the Americas, like in the US and most of the counties in the Canada, we do have the branches. So with the technology, the whole transformation that is happening, we are in the greatest transformation of evolution of generation to come. So as part of the digital evolution, of course, data and analytics is in the forefront of this transformation journey. We would be talking about Analytics Hub. It's a platform that serves as the central repository for the whole Edward Jones analytics and the reporting system. So the firm data and the third-party data, that is from the outside and all, so we're going to ingest, transform, and store it to enable the analytics practice to run their shows. So at the Edward Jones, like in the analytics practice, so we do use the Databricks, which is one of the unified platform that runs inside the Azure cloud. So here is the cloud analytics journey. I wanted to call out. So back in like 2022, we had a big presence of the Hadoop in the on-prem. So we activated the Databricks with the data lake for Hadoop decommission. Then like eventually the year end of that, 2022, we started slowly onboarding the other analytics use cases. Then like 2 years back, 2023, we came, like a few of my peers, and we came to the same conference, and that's when the whole Unity Catalog was starting. And we did talk to some deep dive discussions with experts here. Then we went back to the home, and we started slowly analyzing how to come up with a design. So ultimately, help with Databricks and RSAs and all. We designed and deployed in early part of 2024. So then, the first thing we did is our wonderful engineering team. We have the data ingestion framework where all sort of data source we'll get into the data lake. We enhanced that to register whatever the data assets that comes in, whether it is a flat files, not image per se, but in general, we ingest in, and either we'll save it as a tables or the views or the volumes or functions for the transformation purpose and all. So all those things we started registering into the UC. So that was a big lift and shift to the Unity Catalog. But eventually, we had some presence of the Hive Metastore. That was the pre-UC era. So those also, we migrated to the Unity Catalog. So now, in the last one and a half, around, I would say, 14 to 15 months, we have around 6,000. When we, 3 months back when I wrote this deck, it was 5,000. Now around 6,000 of securable objects, plus more than petabyte worth of data that is there. So this so far, starting from 2022 to date, we call it as the Cloud V1.x, because we had some enhancements with the existing one. So now, more and more data traction is happening. A lot of applications, they want to use try the use cases on the cloud with the Databricks and data lake. So major enhancement we need to do, major scale out need to happen. So that's where we are calling it as the Cloud V2.0. So with major scale out, and of course, we are planning for the whole disaster recovery in the year end. So this is the current setup, I would say. Where you can see, in general, different data sources that we are getting into our analytics hub. And the middle layer is the data lake, and the warehouse that you are seeing is the analytics hub. It cohabits with lot of components in the ecosystem. We do have the data source on the left, and the different patterns, like ingestion patterns that is in the data movement. And of course, we have the orchestration layer, the data security, the data governance. Most of them are the enterprise. That's not only for the analytics hub, it has been used other components also. And on the right-hand side is the engagement layer. So in general, so the mission statement of the analytics hub that we have is the analytics hub provides a dynamic analytics environment powered by a rich and data landscape to build and maintain a data platform optimized for analytics with highly trusted and accessible data. So to achieve this mission statement, right? So the first one is this whole cohabit of our enterprise components with the analytics hub, and of course the Medallion architecture that we followed. So if you look at these different components, right? So what happens is we have the data classification and data cataloging. That's the enterprise one, you can see the Calibra there. That scans and collects the metadata from all the data services, the data lake, the data warehouse, and you name it. And those metadata will be harvested and sync into the data security. The Immuta is our data policy tool. Then also the users and their attributes, the AD and all those things also sync into the Immuta. So Immuta is going to come up with generate a policy, the data policy, that's going to push it onto all the data services. It is a Databricks UC, it's the warehouse, it's the Snowflake, the Salesforce, not Salesforce, I mean to say the Starburst. And when next time the user, when they log into any of these data services, let's say to the Databricks UC, based on his or her, the AD, the policy will be imposed, and whatever they're supposed to access, right? Only those things they will be able to see, like the masking and unmasking and all those things happens. So that is in general the cohabit of the data lake. So this one is the whole Medallion architecture, how we design. So we have the bronze layer. That's where all the data just comes and land here, and we maintain it in original format. Then, of course, you can use it for historic purpose, like if you need reprocessing or something of that sort. The next is the silver layer. We have two catalogs. So one is if there are enterprise type of data sets, if it is coming, some of the foundational data that we try to align into that enterprise catalog. And if there is a point solution, which is not enterprise, very specific to a solution, so that is we'll align it to the point solution catalog. So those follows our enterprise and business taxonomies, at the schema level. Then the core layer is more of the application catalog that follows the portfolio and the product, how the data consumption happens. We align based on that. And of course, there is a utility layer. That's where we maintain all the configuration of all the layers into it. And we do have a couple of business-related catalogs, but at very small scale, per se. And all the data assets we have is being cataloged to the Calibra. That is our enterprise data catalog. Any data assets, anywhere in the data lake, warehouse, anywhere, it has to be cataloged there. That is we are doing it right now, more as a manual scanning. And for our data science friends, as usual, we may not have the quality data in the lower environment. So we do have an infrastructure and process we define. and like where the data scientists can go and like, build their model, train their model with the production quality data. Once they are good with their thesis, then we can follow the regular CI/CD to make it operationalized. I mean, at current, like, we do have early stage of integration with our other major the tools like the CRM, like we do have the Salesforce and all those things. We are in the very early stage. So in the last, as I said, like, 14, 15 months of the Unity catalog, do you think like, it's a perfect solution? No, we came across many challenges, the limitations and all. Just want to call out some of those limitations and the lessons learned in the Cloud V1.x. So the whole thing was we built on the single storage account, and the user provisioning is just happening at the schema level. And of course, some of the schemas are highly skewed, especially when I said the Medallion, right? The gold layer, the right side is heavily crowded with a lot of business units. They have their own schemas. It's a lot of things are there. And we try to fit in like, all the use cases, like especially the gold layer, everything into the Medallion. So unfortunately, each of those things, they have their own SLAs, the RTO, RPO. And like, as I said, like, we do have the limited number of catalogs, and we have both the managed and the external tables and the volumes. So all are stored in the same storage account right now. So this is like, becomes really difficult when we want to untangle it, like, do some sort of disaster recovery or any of those things. So now with the lessons learned, so we started planning for like, how to come up with a better approach and like, for the wider scale out kind of thing. So this is the moving forward from V1.x to the V2.0. So in general, I mean, of course, there is a left and right, there is a data source and the data consumer, but this is only the heart you put it here. So we are adding more of the UC catalogs. So along with the current Medallion catalogs, so if you see on the right-hand side, like, BUN catalog means like, business units 1 to N catalogs. You may have like more and more we are expecting, so that's going to come. And so isolating all these huge catalogs with the separate storage layer. Earlier, we used to have one storage account, right? So now for each of the catalogs, like, Medallion or the business units, they will have their own storage account, more of a, the horizontal and the vertical. And of course, there is the second and the third row, if you see, the second is more of a, the external, the third is a managed. So those are also, we are separating it out. It's more of if somebody like a business unit, XYZ, if they come to us, we'll call it as a BYOSA, like bring your own storage account. If they want all managed, that's fine. Just we'll have one. If they want the external and the managed, they may need to bring the 2 storage account. And like, this is helping in general to achieve our data mesh methodology for all our business units and all. They can do it as a data as a product, and they will have more control onto it. And we are working on a process to like, refine more of, if anybody wants a new catalog or the schemas, they can do it themselves with a, self-service mode, like, all our platform team, they are working hard on that. Along with that, like, we want to enable the foreign catalog for the wider data sources for other things. And of course, the Delta share is also in the pipeline. And we started already using like, some of the iceberg tables. So now, as a new, when we approach the Cloud V2.0, by default, everything will be the Delta and the iceberg, especially the silver and onwards. And the Genie, of course, we are planning to use it in general for any of the responses, intelligent responses. So with this, like, it is really helping us out for untangling the whole, the managed versus the external tables. And that is helping for the disaster recovery also. So this is the disaster recovery that we are planning. In general, if you see on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, there is a data source on the left and the consumer on the side, right? And you do 3, like, bunch of circles there. So on the right side, like, you can see the legends, like circle means the the compute and the storage for each layer. And of course, we have the Azure managed replication and the Databricks managed replication. So on the top is more of a region, what do you say, like more of a primary region. The bottom is the secondary region or the failover. So the DNS, probably Databricks is going to announce maybe tomorrow. They are coming up with their own the metastore level replication for the disaster recovery. That's what we are planning to use. So we are going to get our own DNS. So those DNS or the stable URL helps to isolate, like whether it's the primary region, the secondary region, doesn't matter. If any of the push from the upper system or consumption from the downstream system, we will make sure they use the DNS that would be provided by the Databricks. And if there are any pull for the data lake, let's say the source is a Kafka, we may have to rely on the Kafka's DNS of the stable URL so that if they switch over to their secondary region, it will not be hampered. So that's about the DNS. And in general, the raw or the bronze that I said, we have mostly the external tables, mostly the external volumes we do have right now. All the non-delta, we're going to rely on the Azure managed services, either the GZRS or the GRS, depends on the use cases. And the rest, the silver, the gold, any of the business units, we're planning to use the Databricks managed replications. It's a combination of Delta Share and the deep clone. Hopefully, next year, even those things will be taken care by Databricks. We are hoping. Brett, I'm counting on you. So in general, just key takeaways I want to call out here is on the left-hand side, the Cloud V1.x, the limitations that we had, how we are overcoming with the new add-ons. So just want to call out is the Medallion architecture and the business units were all under single storage account. So those are now separated. Then the fewer catalogs and the crowded securable objects, whatever we had in the 1.x. So we are taking the approach of more of a balanced. So a lot of things from the gold layer, we are carving out to have their own business units and business catalogs kind of thing. Then, of course, the managed and the external tables, they used to be in the same storage account. So now, in the future, we are going to separate it out, both for the managed and external, as I said, bring your own storage account. Right now, the limited integration with the enterprise suites, the major core components of the firm. So those things, we are working on to, make it more wider adoption, data share kind of thing, through the foreign catalog, through the Delta Share, and so many of those things. And at current, we are not optimal for the disaster recovery, but we are planning for the disaster recovery by the end of this year. And of course, the new 2.0 that we are going will be all driven by the Terraform scripts and the Databricks Assets bundles. Up to some extent, we are doing it, but the platform and the engineering team, they are coming up with a plan to make it more of a do-it-yourself, and that's the plan. So finally, I'm here representing a very bigger team of the platform, the engineering, the solution architecture, and our wonderful technology partners, and amazing Databricks, our account executive, Brett, is here, and David is missing somewhere. So yeah, so these are all because of their help, and we are here at this stage. In general, in the continuation of my quote in the beginning, again, Jamie, he stole my quote in the beginning, but it's okay. So I guess even this also he repeated up to some extent, but with a different word. So this is my thought, though. So as technology evolves, so do our opportunities. So changes are constant. And the key to succeeding in this fast-changing world is learning to adapt as quickly as things evolve. And appreciate all your feedback, survey, anything if you get it. Just say something so that it helps me to get better next time. Thank you all.